This is companion video number 22 for iFeelagrams for iPad, iOS8, the iBooks library. The iBooks library is accessed via the My Books tab at the bottom left corner of the main iBooks screen. In the top left corner, you will find the View button, which toggles between Grid and List View. In the center is a button to select from the Collections pop-up of your library. The default is Books. At the far right is a Selection button, which brings up a list of your books with options to select for deletion or to move to another collection. Below these three buttons, you will find four buttons that determine how your books will be displayed. These are Bookshelf, Titles, Author, and Categories. Below these four buttons is a search field which runs across the screen just above the top of the book list. Review the iBooks key, check out the iBooks library FeelaGram again, and we'll be ready to check it all out on the iPad. Now, in number 21, we had left off in Purchases, and I had just downloaded my iPad 8.1 user manual, so I can simply slide my finger across the bottom of the screen to the left-hand corner.
Selected. Top authors, top chart, featured, My Books, tab, 1 of 5.
Here we are at the My Books tab, which is the way to get into our books library. Double tap. Now it said nothing, but I can double check at the bottom left corner.
Selected. My Books.
It's selected, so I'm going to move right up to the top.
No sim. Status bar item. Grid view. Button.
There we are, and to its right.
Books. Button.
Now this says Books button, but what it is the Collections button, and Books just happens to be the collection that is currently selected there. And to its right.
Select. Button.
Now let's go down.
Bookshelf. Button. 1 of 4.
The bookshelf appears to present your books in the order that they were purchased.
Titles. Button. 2 of 4.
Displays by title, and they're all self-explanatory.
Authors. Button. 3 of 4.
And
Categories. Button. 4 of 4.
now I've been flicking all this time, so let's do one more flick.
Search. Search field.
Sure enough, we come to the search field, which is below all those buttons and just above the books. Let's do a 3-finger single tap and check it.
Top and centered. Full width of screen.
Okay, so if it's the full width of the screen, it should be easy to find. Let's try. I'm going to come down from the status bar.
6:42 p.m. Titles. Button. 2 of 4.
Titles, there's...
Search.
Oh,
Search
there's
field.
the search field, and just below that,
Talking to Siri.
dragging,
Erica's
sure enough,
search.
there's my
Search
first
field.
book. Now, let's see what these different views look like. How about Bookshelf?
Selected. Bookshelf. Button.
There we go.
1 of 4.
Let's look.
Search. Search. Talking to Siri. Erica Satin and Steve Sand. Digital media.
There, I just bought that the other day.
New. iPhone user guide for iOS 8.1. New. IC. David Woodbridge.
I'm going
Reference. iPad user guide for iOS 8.1. Apple Inc.
There's
Computers.
the one we updated yesterday.
iPad and iPhone tips and tricks. Selected. Bookshelf. Button.
Let's move
1
to
of
the
4.
right.
Titles. Button.
Now let's
2
go
of
by
4.
titles.
Selected. Titles. 2 of 4.
Now if I go down my list,
Book. Search. Adventures of a Sixpence in Guernsey by a Native. Cloudy with a Chance of Profits. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society Stuff. iPad and iPhone tips and iPad user guide for
so that does present the titles in alphabetical order. Now if we go back up to the
search.
top,
Search.
now we'll go to Authors.
Authors. Button. 3 of 4.
Double tap that.
Selected. Authors. 3
Now
of
let's
4.
look down our list.
Anonymous. Apple Inc. iPad New. Apple Inc. Bookrags.com. The Guernsey Literary and Potato. Mike Calvo. Cloudy with a Chance of New. David Woodbridge. Fedora Outlier
So you see now the authors are presented in alphabetical order. As for the categories,
Selected. Authors. Button.
there, let's
3 of
move
4.
over to categories.
Categories.
And
Button.
see
Selected.
how that presents.
Categories.
Now, categories has a bonus feature in that if you set the rotor to headings, you can actually check out all the category headings in your library.
Language. Headings.
There I did a clockwise and a counterclockwise to make sure I was back on headings. So if I move my finger right down the left edge from the top left-hand corner,
Grid view, bookshelf, button, action and adventure, heading,
I get an action and adventure heading. If I keep moving my finger down,
Adventures of a Sixpence in Guernsey, Lizzie and the Guernsey Gang, computers, heading, cloudy with a chance of profits,
so there are headings in there. So I'm going to put my finger at the top again.
bookshelf, button,
And now
1 of
I'm
4,
going to flick down with one finger because my rotor is set to headings, and I'm going to see what all my headings are.
action and adventure, children's fiction, computers, heading, digital media, heading,
So I have all these different categories in my library, even though I don't have many books. Because if you notice, when we hear the title of a book, we also hear the category beside it. So this fourth button, the categories button, in conjunction with setting the rotor to headings and then flicking up and down through them, is a quick way to check out what categories you do in fact have in your library. But our tour of the library won't be complete without talking about collections. So let's go back up to the top.
no sim, status, grid view, button,
There's the button for switching between grid and list view. Of course, list view is always easier for speech users. And to its right,
books, button,
now this says books only because the books collection is selected here. If I were to double tap this button,
collections, heading,
I get something new called collections.
selected, books,
If I drag around the screen a bit,
dismiss pop-up,
there is a pop-up. Where
double
is
tap,
it?
all,
Oh, here it is. Let's do a triple finger single tap.
rows 1 to 5 of 5, top and centered, half width of screen,
So top and centered half width of screen, it looks like we have a list of collections. Let's see.
dismiss pop-up, selected, books, all, collections, heading,
There is the collections heading just at the top of the pop-up. If I move my finger up,
dismiss pop-up,
I got out of the pop-up, but I
double
want to
tap
go
to
back
dismiss
in.
pop-up, collections, heading,
So here we are at the collections again.
all,
There's all. Below it is,
selected, books,
and below that,
PDFs,
all your PDF documents that you bring into iBooks go here.
miscellaneous,
This is a category that I created. And down at the very bottom,
new collection,
new collection. So if I were to double tap here, it would bring up a text field, and I could type in the name of a new collection, which would be added to the list. So there you have your basic tour of the library. We hope you'll join us in video number 23, where we talk about using the table of contents and navigating through a book.